Up next, ladies and gentlemen, your moderator for the next panel, Global Desi Chickpeas Outlook. Please welcome from CNBC TV 18, Ms. Manisha Gupta. I'd like to request the panelists to also please join her. Please welcome from NAFED, Sunil Kumar Singh. From Pulses Australia, Peter Wilson. From Vitera, Lalit Pant. From Alpha Group Agrox Dubai, Jahid Nagrawala. And from iGreen India, Rahul Chauhan. So time permitting, at the discretion of Ms. Gupta, if there is time for question and answers, a few questions could be taken, but all depending on the discretion of Ms. Gupta. And of course, if you have a question, please put your hand, a mic will come around. With that, it's time to hand you over to Ms. Manisha Gupta. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yes, I get that indication, nicely gloved in a compliment that we're keeping this short. But yes, clearly the conversation today has been all about tour, and we'll try to put some focus and spotlight on chana as well. Not so many concerns here to begin with, because we have seen chana prices mostly under MSP, not such a great trade for farmers or traders. But then we have seen a very good crop last year, and the expectation that we are looking at a good crop right now as well. And especially with the fact that the arrivals have already started coming into the market, there is buying also happening in. The government also has enough stock. And the details, of course, the number is something that we will talk to our panelists here. And the major thing is on where are the prices headed. So it's mostly going to be about the price outlook that we see in chana going forward from here. Rahul, hi, I'll begin with you first. And we've seen good crop, good arrivals, prices much under control, really not a concern with the government as well. Looking from here on, what's your sense on what the markets will watch out for, one, and what is the kind of crop that we're looking at, early estimates?
This year I'm expecting about 12 million tons of Desi chana, and which is equivalent to, if we calculate it with the old stock, it is equivalent to the consumption. And good thing is that from last 3 years, the chana production is increasing. And so we have a comfortable stocks of chana available with this. So market will be, as we were saying, it will trade, in a limited range.
Yes. Lalit, this one is to you then. And when we talk about technology and we talk about productivity, chana clearly has had that going it for itself. How do you look at the kind of price moves that we are expected to look at going forward?
Good evening, everyone. So price-wise, I think general view is there is not much downside from current prices. The MSP, though, is far away from what is coming into the mandis. For the government, and NAFED has done a splendid job in running a fantastic campaign last season by procuring a huge quantity, a landmark quantity, and they have been right in all their decisions in protecting the farmers on one hand, and then protecting the consumers on the other hand, giving that supply to the market and keeping the prices within everybody's reach.
All right. Peter, this one is to you. How are we looking at the global scenario right now? There is a conversation that we could be exporting chana as well to various countries. There are new markets being looked for this one.
Yeah, I guess the first point I'll make as an Australian desperately seeking access to the Indian market, and I refer to Shri Sunil Singh sitting there to your right. You may well have noticed that the Australian cricket team has sacrificed itself here on the Indian pitches, and this is simply to show our goodwill towards India. To at some stage, yes, let's ham it up.
That always works. That cricket example always works.
We want we want India to win the cricket, so that we can get some Desi chickpeas back into India, which would be lovely. Look, the global market for Desis and of course Australia is still. We basically shrunk our crop size to fit the demand that exists for Australian Desi chickpeas. And of course today they're largely going to Pakistan and Bangladesh and a little bit into the UAE. So that's where the main liquidity on the bulk Desis are heading today, because from an Australian perspective we've gone from 2.2 million tonnes of production in 2016 to, this year probably 500,000 tonnes. So we have shrunk our crop size to meet the likely demand.
Jai, this one is to you, our opening comments as well on how would you look at the overall chana, whether it's about the Indian markets, and how do you look at it as from a trader's point of view too?
As per my view, especially from African side, African supply, only Tanzanian chana can affect a little bit to India market. Ethiopia is, Ethiopian chana don't too much concern about Indian market. One concern is that most of the Tanzanian chana, last year it was traded to Pakistan because of the cheap price, and India was not accepting that price. But this year seems Pakistan have a currency issue. So if before the new crop of Tanzania enter in the August, if the Pakistan currency situation is not improving, then a very good cheap price can be pushed in India. So this point of view, India, we will have a very good chance to buy African Desi chana.
All right, so we have a small presentation, and how long is it?
Hello. Thanks IPGA for inviting Agri in India for this chickpea. This is the everybody knows these figures. This is the sowing of chana, and if you see some figures like in Maharashtra and Rajasthan, the area has been increased, but in MP it is reduced. Gujarat from last 3 years the sowing of chana was very good. This year the sowing is compromised by wheat and sarson, and this is the rainfed area. This season we have a very less rains. Except Rajasthan, the rains in other states are very, very less. This is the crop situation of the states in Karnataka, Bidar and Talikot. Quality is not so good. They are affected by the rains, and rest of area like Raichur, the sowing is 20 to 25% less than the last year, but the crop condition is good. In Maharashtra, the area is improved by 10 to 15%. And the productivity is the major issue which we are seeing in most of the mandis, like in Amravati, the productivity of 5 to 7 bags were coming in the market, but it has been reduced. It was 7 to 8 bori, and it has been reduced to 5 to 7 bori. So in other areas, you can see the sowing has been, in some areas sowing is increased, in some areas sowing is decreased. But in Rajasthan, the crop is very good this year. And although the area was a little bit more than last year, but you see the due to some rains, the productivity in Rajasthan will increase. In Madhya Pradesh, the area is reduced because farmers, they have gone to wheat and other crops also, and lentil also. In Uttar Pradesh, Bundelkhand, the sowing of chana has been drastically fallen. As you know, the prices of other commodities, they were more than MSP. If you see the import figures till from April to December, we have imported about 57,000 of metric ton of chana, basically from Tanzania, and export numbers are pretty good in this financial year. This is the supply and demand. This year I'm expecting that there is an opening stock of about 30 lakh ton, and the production is estimated to be 105 lakh ton. Import and supply, if you see, it is 13.5 million metric ton, and consumption is equivalent to production, as I said earlier. In the season, ending stock will be 29.72 lakh tons. This is a procurement and its impact on the market. Last year, you say in Kharif 2019, the prices of chana were equivalent to MSP. NAFED is able to procure 7.76 lakh ton of chana. In 2020, the prices were lower than MSP. The procurement was very good. In 21 Rabi season, the prices were above MSP, so the procurement was less. If you see the trend, how it is behaving, that when the prices are below MSP, the procurement increases. So this is the tender range which NAFED is selling, and this year the procurement target of NAFED, which has given yesterday, it's in front of you. This is the price trend which is going on and which is expected to be followed. In Rabi 2020, the MSP was 4875, and the full season the prices were below MSP. And 21, as I told you, these are the price trend, and you see whenever the prices are above MSP, the procurement is was less. And for the short-term and long-term prospect, I think the prices will be in range bound. There will not be any bullish trend in the market, thanks for NAFED and government policies, so that the availability of chana throughout the country is very stable and comfortable. So Australia.
Thanks. Look, we sort of covered it before, but you can see that the graph is quite clear. With India out since the end of 2017, we are looking at Bangladesh and Pakistan being major destinations, then followed by the UAE and Nepal as major destinations. We were selling some product into Iran, but of course sanctions put pay to that, and I guess they're picking up a lot of the African product. So the Australian crop has shrunk down to meet its likely demand, and I think we can sustain a crop around 500,000 tonnes based on demand from Pakistan and Bangladesh, notwithstanding the hard currency issues in those two particular destination markets. Yeah, but the Desi chickpeas are all grown in northern Australia, and there's still a fair bit of carry out. 21 harvest was very wet in particularly northern New South Wales. That led to some downgrading. A lot of that product has gone to Pakistan for milling, of course, but we still have enough very, very good quality product that's meeting the market demand into markets like Bangladesh, who really seek that nice gold and plump Desi chickpea that we know. So we know Australia produces the best quality Desi chickpea in the world, and of course we look forward to welcoming you all down under this year for GPC. I had to get a plug in there for the GPC conference.
Sir, Africa, sir.
Jai Hind, good evening. Hello. Myself, Jahid Nagarwala from Alpha Group. We are one of the leading exporter from Mozambique, Tanzania, Sudan, Togo, and Benin. Let me give some brief on Desi chana from Africa, and for that I would like to thank you. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Let me start my presentation on Desi chana of Africa. Africa mainly, the east sides only grow the Desi chana, mainly two countries, Tanzania and Ethiopia, they are producing the Desi chana. If we talk about the Tanzanian chana, Tanzania, the season start in August to November and onward. The average crop size is 70 to 80,000 tons, and there is a huge fall and rise of production due to the weather from 50,000 tons to 150,000 tons. Last year, approximately 80,000 tons was produced, and 2021, it was a bumper crop of near about 100 to 110,000 tons. India is the major buyer for Tanzanian chana, but last year there was not much buying interest from India, and most of the chana was diverted to Pakistan market. So near about $500 to $550 level there was a traded. Beside the India, there is a Pakistan and Dubai also importing the good volume of the chana. There is some historical figures. You can say that 2021 was a good crop, and last year it was average crop of 80,000 tons. Now please allow me to jump to Ethiopia. Actually, Ethiopia is also producing a very good quality of chana, but unfortunately Ethiopia's market doesn't affecting much to Indian imports. Most of the Ethiopian Desi chana is consuming as a local food. And some of the imports also diverting to Iran. Especially the Iran, they like the small 3 to 5 mm size chana, Desi chana. They buy on a premium price. So seems it's not much effect on Indian market. Now if we talk about the market scenario, Ethiopia have a good crop, but it doesn't affect much on India or world market. Currently, Ethiopia is trading near about 660 to 720 level FOB, which seems quite expensive. Tanzania have a good source, but still there is a new crop, there is a timing. Pakistan is a strong buyer, but as currently they have the currency issue, so most of the shippers or most of the sellers at this stage, they don't want to sell any cargo to Pakistan. If the scenario, before August or September, the Pakistan scenario, if not improving for the currency, then most of this cargo of Tanzanian cargo can be traded to India below 500 level. It could be possible. That's it. I will end my presentation. Thank you, IPGA, for this wonderful opportunity, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jahid, for that, and thank you, Rahul, for putting across and collating everything that is expected in sense of crop availability and exports and import numbers as well. But Mr. Singh, you clearly are the man in the focus right now, because we do need to understand on where are we headed in sense of Indian availability. So first of all, since everybody's already praised you, let's start with the numbers first. What is the plan now going forward for NAFED, especially when we do understand that there's a lot of availability happening in Chana?
Thank you, Manisha ji. You have seen the numbers of Government of India, which has been released on 14th of February. The numbers are little more than last year numbers, and it is 13.62 million metric ton over the last year figure of 13.50 million metric ton. There's a second advance estimate. It's below the target of 14 million. Therefore, as regards the availability, I think there is plenty. Manisha ji, I would like to share a few data with the audience here and with you. In last 5-6 years, out of the procurement of 14.55 million metric tons of pulses under PSS and PSF, 9.92 million metric ton has been of gram all alone. So it tells the story that the gram production in 2015-16, which was at the level of 7.30 million metric ton, which has risen to 13.62 million metric ton, the market requires good procurement by NAFED. In fact, I would request the market to come along with NAFED to provide MSP to the farmer. As regards our preparations, we are ready all my state offices, they are ready with their procurement plan. And some of the states have already announced the date of initiation of procurement of gram if required below MSP. But again, if the market can pick up to 5,335, we would not be required to procure. From the disposals, which has happened since January, it has been a good disposal, and we have been feeding the market continuously. And I would share with you that from 1st of January till we are speaking, we have almost disposed 4.6, I would say 0.46 million metric ton in these trading days. The prices, in fact, I must thank Rahul that he has put all those numbers very beautifully. So numbers are already out. The one issue which really bothers us is we are having increased production of gram. However, the consumption level has to go up. Therefore, you saw that we distributed cleaned whole chana under PMJKY. Similarly, during 2018-19, we run a scheme called Discounted Pulses Scheme, where the states were offered a discount of 15,000 per metric ton over the issue price. Since September last year, we have again relaunched this scheme with a discount of rupees 8,000 per metric ton, which is likely to be increased to the earlier 15,000 per metric ton. These attempts are only to make chana affordable to the masses so that the consumption increases.
Mr. Singh, you clearly have been applauded on the fact that this is one market that the NIFID has been able to work around very beautifully, even if it...
Thank you.
Even if it means that you have to sell at discount at sometimes to some states there.
I'm open to criticism on your channel.
Right. The point that you made, interestingly, was also about that you invite trade to work with you to ensure that the MSP is worked on. Is that a conversation that we've had already begun here, or is that what you're suggesting or proposing right now?
I'm expecting the market to respond. There is no proposal as such,
Okay.
but I really wish that the market comes out to that level, that we don't need to procure. That's my wish.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Singh, what started as a task for NIFID clearly seems to be changing over the years, especially when it comes to chana, because we've seen more crop, more availability, prices not holding well. How do you see NIFID playing a role within that now?
Well, it's our job to do that. Manisha ji, I highlighted the figures of gram procurement only to say that a very active procurement by NAFED ensured that there is a consistency in increase of the gram production. If that was not so, the farmers would not have continued growing the pulse at the same pace, and the kind of figures that we have of 27.95 million metric tons in the country, where the contribution of gram itself is more than 7 million metric tons.
Well, yes. You know, for the longest time, even at media, when we have been reporting, apart from what supply and demand pictures have been coming, what price is NIFID buying or selling, what quantity is happening used to really move markets. It still continues to do that. But especially when it comes to gram or chana for that matter, are you, with the kind of increase in productivity, production, technology coming on board as well, are you looking, apart from you inviting traders, are you looking at changing strategy at all? Or do you think this is going to be the norm?
Well, no strategy is static. So strategies would come every time, and I really wish that if we are, see, what is happening, like we are offering this surplus chana for the distribution under the special PDS or the state or central welfare scheme. It is only to boost the consumption of chana, one, and second, slowly bring pulses in the plate of either you say the PDS or the whatever name
the protein
we call
push.
it. Yeah, protein push, because somewhere we have to cut down the carbs, and then again proteins have to come. And what best, that is the chana, because it is the cheapest, plentiful available. Again, if we talk it like you just soak it, you eat it with jaggery, you eat it with salt, you want to roast it, you want to make vegetable, all kinds of dishes, etc., can be prepared with this. So chana is the king, and chana would remain the king as regards its production, price, acceptability, affordability.
Absolutely. Lalit, what's your take on what Mr. Singh just proposed, that the trade should work with the agency and ensure that farmers get MSP? Because this is one commodity where we've seen prices really under tremendous pressure.
It's a very tough question to answer. I've been preparing for this since the time Sunilji just mentioned this statement. I knew that you were going to ask me. So why
now
I
he's
say,
thrown the ball in your court.
why I say, and I'm not speaking on behalf of trade. I'm just, I'm learning as we move along, and all I can say is that, of course, the trade shall be there for, let's say, buying at MSP and working with NAFED, because, a stockist is very important part of the entire supply chain. But sir, respectfully, if let's say
if he's getting it cheaper,
somebody does enter, let's say, at an MSP level, and later on the government for worthy reasons has to sell the chickpeas at slightly lower prices than the MSP, then the trade is sort of in a difficult position, sir.
May I answer this? You first buy, I assure that we will not sell below MSP.
Okay. There you have it then. I actually, this is not Q&A exactly, but this is something I would really want to ask out and open as well. How does it work for the trade to be working with the NAFED, and especially when Mr. Singh is saying that we assure you that you wouldn't make a loss? Anybody?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
You said MSP.
No, I said you buy at MSP, I buy at MSP, I stand with you. I won't sell below MSP.
You can sell on a discount or at a loss.
No,
They
I
can't.
assured, if the trade is buying at MSP, why should I sell below MSP?
Okay. And do you think a lot of people will be forthcoming on that? Because as he
I
said
don't
very
know.
hesitatingly,
No, I'm not talking of fame. I'm talking of trade as a whole.
traders at all, what is the sense that you make of this proposal now? Sudhakar, Deepak ji? Yeah. Pradeep Jindal ji? Hanji? Hanji Bimal Kothari ji? Please somebody pass a mic.
Thank you, Manisha ji. You see, what Mr. Singh has suggested, I think that can work in theory. I don't think it can work in practical, because the prices all depend on the demand and supply. It's a factor of the demand and supply. It's just not the procurement. Unless the government says trade should buy, and we are ready to offload this cargo at MSP or plus or something, so that the trade's interest will be taken care of. Otherwise, any commodity, whether it is pulses or any commodity, the commodity business is like that. The prices, it all depends on the demand and supply. You can see now there is short supply of tur. So today we are talking the tur prices are going up. There is immense supply of chana, and we are again, as Mr. Singh has suggested, that we are going to see another large crop, which is last 2 years we have seen that chana prices selling minimum support price. The trade doesn't have that kind of capacity, and trade is not the procurement agency. NAFED is you must understand, NAFED is a procurement agency of the government of India. We are not government of India, we are the traders. We go purely by the demand and supply factor, and that's how the business is being traded.
They would love to buy a tour right now. They can't even do that.
Exactly.
Kothari sir, just to add to what you said, in fact, right from the procurement, our duty is to intervene in the market and stabilize the prices to the maximum, to the level of MSP. And it is a function of, I fully agree with you that it's a function of supply and demand and how the market behavior comes in. What I'm talking is, if the consumption levels rise, and then again there is a demand of raw material from the trade to meet those consumption demands, the market would stabilize. Therefore, we have an added responsibility, both of us, because farmer is growing for you. NAFED is there as a net. That's all.
So I would like to add what you said. So that means we need to boost the consumption. That should be the way. Then definitely, there will be an offtake of the production. If the supply is immense, we need to boost the production because we are a protein deficient country. We have to ensure that the pulses goes to the masses of our, a large section of the society which cannot, afford pulses. Today, we are 800 million people, government is still subsidizing the wheat. So that means a lot of pulses are required to be supplied to this large population. So let us boost the consumption, and once there is a consumption, definitely there will be more production.
Obviously.
So there is a clause there. Once the consumption grows, then we will
That's
come
right.
into the market.
And there has to be
are always there.
shifting of demand consumption from other pulses to chana and so on. So industry and NAFED, Government of India, we have to
So
work
industry will
together.
come in only once they see a profit somewhere. Can we please pass on the mic there?
Hello, Singh Saab. I just one request, if you just suggest कि you cannot sell below MSP, at least give some time to trader that when you liquidate the stock, at least you give 3-4 months that you cannot interfere the market. I'm sure the market will be stable at better price. Because you know that all,
I explain you our compulsions. Our procurement is for 3 months, 90 days. 1 month takes for the finalization, accounting, and payment part, etc. So even if I'm ending my procurement on 30th of June, generally we plan our disposal from 1st of August or etc. We have 9 months for disposal because the next season comes in. Just imagine the volume of the purchase that we make, and if we don't liquidate, what happens with the costing of the procured stock plus its effect on the next season? You want NAFED not to dispose, having purchased at MSP, and you selling your stock, having purchased at a market rate below MSP. Is that the right demand?
no sir, I just said that you have to.
I just explained you.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
explained you.
Pradeep ji, you have something to say?
Nothing much, because if a trader buy from MSP at now new MSP is 5335 per quintal. So if we add on around 5-6% on above mandi rates, so it costs around 5,600, and if we bring down to Delhi, it costs between 5,900 to 6,000 rupees per quintal. So I don't think any just assurance of a NAFED, any trader will buy that they will not sell below the MSP. And in the past, if you see the losses made by NAFED, it is a income tax money. It is not a private money. I earned a hard money, so without any backing with the government, surely how a trader, me, cannot buy MSP with the assurance. I need some financial guarantee also from the government that they will not sell below 6,000 rupees. Then we I think most of the traders, they will enter in. And second point, if the prices goes up like in 2021, suddenly the government came in July 21, they imposed a stock limit. Everywhere, every trader now, I know the position, what happened, suddenly little bit the market is up, stock limit is imposed. So really this chana.
Until they see a profit, they are not going to do that.
Well, I just close this. I won't take that acquisition. Pradeep ji, the money that we invest, your and mine, that is for the welfare of the farmer. And I make losses because you buy cheap from me.
Manisha ji, I would like to add one thing.
I think this is the last couple of
Okay,
comments and then
last
we'll move
one,
on from this.
last one comment is, you see, this suggestion has come up earlier. This is that why not the trade get into the business of procurement? There has to be long-term policy on that. The trade definitely can intervene. They can buy at minimum support price. There has to be long-term policy from the government that once this is procured, what is going to happen with that stock, and so on. So it is, unless these policies are there, just speaking that I can buy at MSP, these are not workable, workable factors, workable solutions. You need to have a long-term policy. You have to bring the trade into you have to work with the trade. And then definitely, I remember this has been talked. Once I had a meeting with Prime Minister's office. The Joint Secretary, he proposed me, yes, we are ready to work with you. So we need to work on this. And
Clearly,
Singh Saab's suggestion is, I welcome his suggestion. Why not this can be done? This can be done, but we have to have a long-term policy.
I'm with you, President IPG.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Moving on. We'll talk about the prices now. I can already see that the time's up and we are off limits here. But let's talk about the prices and let's start with you. You've been preparing for this one too. What's your sense on prices now? As Rahul's presentation showed, since 2020, the chana prices have been trading below MSP because of the higher production, productivity, better techniques. What is now that you're looking in this year going forward in sense of prices?
See, well, in a nutshell, I think the availability is there in gram. We've seen government numbers, his numbers also, and it's debatable, but there is not a big variation, not more than 5% here or there. And that is why we do not see a lot of imports also happening. We are self-sufficient. Yes, if in a big way the consumption increases or some new magic of a product comes in made out of chana, then I don't know. But otherwise, I largely see the prices being range bound. NAFED's procurement should help a big chunk of the crop to be marketed at MSP levels, and that is, plus minus 10% is where I see the market moving in this season. Also, I mean, see, you have to appreciate again on the flip side, it's not easy to control the dreams and aspirations of 1.3 billion democratic country, and chana being nearly 50% of the calculation of the inflation of the pulses basket. It's it's a very good tool also to meet the central government's targets on inflation. So I get that, and as trade, I mean, I don't know what will happen after this discussion, but I mean, it is encouraging to see various. I mean, I did not really see the discussion moving in this direction, honestly.
All right, that was very candid. Thank you so much, Rahul. What's your sense? I mean, you've been talking to a lot of people, participants, India and abroad. What is the sense that you get in sense of prices?
Like Mr. Lalit is saying, it will be in a range bound. There will not be any upside too much, but it will be in range bound and on a satisfactory level in the market.
Okay. This is one commodity that shows very good on an inflation graph. That means, Peter, what's your sense?
Well, obviously we don't have access to the Indian market, so the prices have been relatively flat for Aussie Desis. I want to put on the record, I find it incredible that a government would seek to attempt to intervene and legislate supply and demand. I mean, I would hate to have that responsibility as the Indian government has taken on, because I think it has restricted innovation in product development, because you can't fight City Hall. You can't. And traders are trading for profit. Farmers are planting for profit, whether they be Indian farmers or Australian or Canadian farmers, and market signals and price transparency is really critical to drive future supply. And I think India, and of course I've been travelling to India for over 30 years, and I love it. And no one loves Indian food more than I, and as you can see that I've invested heavily in Indian food over the time. But I think that India has been fortunate since this market intervention has started that we haven't had a poor monsoon. We've actually had very good and efficacious rain distribution throughout India that has allowed food production to be really sustainable. But by not having access or by having imports available at a price, the risk is that whether it's Australia or Canada having to work under tariff structures, you actually start pushing away alternate sources of supply at reasonable prices. So that if monsoon does fail, then suddenly it's, we don't just crank up the Desi chana planting in Australia or the lentil crop in Australia or Canada. It doesn't happen overnight. And so therefore, if we squeeze production down to such an extent in countries like Australia and Canada and the United States and other sources of supply because they're concerned about the level of intervention, then it does make a longer term risk to India. And we talked about this morning, they talked about Indian demand for pulses, and Mr. Chandrasekhar talked about availability of pulses. So if we're potentially creating an environment where we are reducing the availability of pulses and the development of new products and all that sort of stuff.
Well, absolutely. So prices, Peter, prices then, where do you see them moving for the rest of this year?
I'd see them there, from an Australian perspective, they're pretty flat because it's Bangladesh and it's Pakistan today. Both those markets have major hard currency problems. So it's hard to be bullish Australian Desi chickpeas because of the fact that we can't access the Indian market and that there are significant foreign exchange issues and liquidity problems in the two major destination markets. And of course, the UAE, which has been historically a good market, the UAE is picking up product that's falling out of Pakistan because of their problems. So I don't see what pushes Australian Desi prices higher today.
Jai, your closing comments as well. Where do you see prices moving, and do you think there's anything that could really crop up to support prices going forward?
Well, as an African exporter, we always follow the India market, where and we always try to supply cheaper than Indian market. So my point of view, if till August everything seems okay for Africa, and if we sit on the good crop, then definitely price will come down. So maybe we will be able to supply 500, or you can say in India 4,400 or 4,600 level. Maybe we can able to push the African cargo to India.
So there's
if everything will go well till August, till our new crop comes.
fair point. Mr. Singh, final comments. Anything on prices availability at all?
Our price is 5335.
All right. On that very, very solid flat note, thank you, panelists, so much for joining us. So unless there is a big weather concern, El Nino is what we're talking about, currencies, interest rates, international markets, weather, or as Lalit said, big value addition product that comes into the market, the expectation is quite flat that we're looking at chana prices staying where they are. Thank you so much, panelists, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Manisha. May I please have this on? Thank you, Manisha. That was wonderful as usual. Great comparing. We'd like to request you to please do just one more, favor for us and present your eminent panel with mementos on behalf of the organizers. Right, starting with the gentleman on your right. One to Mr. Sunil Kumar Singh of NAFED. Can we have the mementos, please? Moving on further to your right, we have Lalit Panthavitera. Lalit Panthavitera. No, sir. Moving onwards to the other side, Rahul Chauhan of iGrain India. And last but not the least, to Jahid Nagarwala of Alpha Group Agrox Dubai. May I please request Chairman, IPGA, Mr. Bimal Kothari to please step up on stage, present a memento to Manisha. Mr. Chairman, India Pulses and Grains Association, presenting a memento to Ms. Manisha Gupta. Sir, photograph. Sir, photograph. Oh, Peter Wilson already has one, and I hear his baggage is already overweight, so we're not going to give him another memento of the same type. But we can definitely give him this photograph. May I have the panel proper photograph altogether, please? You already got one Peter. May I have a group photograph, sir, Bimal Kothari, with this panel. That, ladies and gentlemen, was the Global Desi Chickpeas Outlook panel.